Hello, this is Dee from dmiddleton.com. Today we'll be looking at the science between clutter and excess weight. Welcome to my year-long thorough declutter series. In my series, we declutter 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Today we'll be looking at one of my favorite resources, Lose the Clutter, Lose the Weight, a book written by Peter Walsh. If you would like to get a digital copy of this book for completely free, you can sign up in the video link in the description. Now let's look at what Peter Walsh has to say about what is the science between clutter and weight. Excess clutter and excess pounds may be related. In a small 2011 study that included 12 people with a diagnosis of hoarding, researchers noted that 11 of those 12 people were overweight or obese. Why? Here's one possibility. A cluttered environment can lead you to make poor food choices. In 2013, researchers asked 34 students one at a time to answer questionnaires while sitting in 10 minutes in an orderly or a messy room. The messy room had the components found in many cluttered homes: extra furniture, paper strewn about, and objects piled where they didn't belong. The clean room was streamlined and tidy, with everything in the right place and no needless clutter. When they left, the participants were given their choice of two snacks. Those leaving the clean room were more likely to take an apple than a candy bar, as opposed to those leaving the cluttered room. People who merely have too much clutter but don't have a hoarding disorder may still be more likely to have weight problems. A 2008 study included a group of people who said they struggled with clutter but didn't meet all the criteria of the hoarding disorder. These people were 77% more likely to be overweight or obese, even though they weren't hoarders. Another study found that people who met the criteria for hoarding were significantly more likely to have a higher body mass index, also known as BMI, and to be obese. Your BMI is a measurement of your weight in relation to your height. This number gives a sense of whether your weight is at a healthy level or not. In this study, the researchers found some evidence that a genetic link might help explain both hoarding and obesity. People with a specific type of variation in a gene called BDNF were more likely to have more severe hoarding behaviors. They also tended to have higher BMI scores. The particular gene the researchers examined helps produce a protein that's active in your brain, including the parts of your brain that control your eating and your weight. But it's important not to jump to conclusions. None of the research proved that if your house is cluttered, you're going to be overweight, or vice versa. Now, if you struggle with excess clutter and excess weight, I'm sure you didn't say this: I'm going to overfeed my body with more calories than it needs. I'm also going to be sure to sit around so I don't burn off too many of those calories. Eventually, I'll have such a thick layer of food, alcohol, or sodas around my body that I won't be able to fit in my current clothes. If you're overweight, that's not how it happened. Instead, you likely lifted snacks, entrees, and drinks to your mouth thousands of times. Only some of those times was your action driven by true hunger or thirst. It's quite likely that the same types of emotional upset or inattention that led to a cluttered home also played a role in the current state of your waist and hips. That's because excess weight can be associated with depression. One study of more than 2,400 obese and overweight adults found that those with abdominal obesity, or in other words, a big belly, were more likely to have major symptoms of major depression. In another study that followed nearly 66,000 middle-aged and older women for 10 years, those who were depressed at the beginning of the project were more likely to be obese later. On the other hand, those who were obese at the beginning of the project were more likely to be depressed later. So I'd like to recap two main points here. since they're crucial for confronting and conquering your clutter and your weight in the program Lose the Clutter, Lose the Weight. Anxiety, depression, and ADHD may raise people's risk of hoarding and becoming overweight. Since hoarding and regular excessive clutter aren't necessarily far apart, this research very well may apply even if you don't have a hoarding disorder. Point number 2. You don't need to have a full-fledged diagnosable case of depression, anxiety, or ADHD for this apply to you either. Milder relatives of these problems, respectively, are feeling blue, stressed, unfocused, impulsive. Those feelings can also affect your purchasing and eating habits. Knowing whether any of these issues are lurking in your mind will put you in a better position to confront them and separate them from your eating habits and your attitude toward acquiring and hanging on to possessions. Those were excerpts from Peter Walsh's book, Lose the Clutter, Lose the Weight. Now that we've looked how clutter and overweight are connected, let's look at some of the benefits to decluttering. Number 1, you'll have less stuff, which equals less to clean and keep organized. Another benefit to decluttering is more appreciation for what you have. If you have minimal belongings, you'll care for them differently than if you had plenty at your disposal. Decluttering will cause you to experience less chaos and stress. Minimalism has the benefit of lots of empty space, or in other words, more breathing room. Decluttering means more money you get to keep. If you cherish and care for what you already have, you'll find you spend less and keep more of your hard-earned cash. Number 5, decluttering brings mental clarity and more energy. You get to do more of the things you love if you aren't constantly working to clean and care for a large amount of possessions. An added benefit to decluttering is that you can bless someone else if you have good items you need to rehome. Decluttering means you'll shop more thoughtfully. You'll be more likely to only purchase what you really need if you are fully aware of what you already have. Like pulling weeds from your garden, you will appreciate the visual improvements your decluttering efforts are going to create. It is gratifying to look over a job and feel a sense of accomplishment. By decluttering your home, you're creating visual and actual peace. Have you ever completed a task that involved a huge visual improvement? Number 1, decluttering brings back time. You will gain time back if you don't refill the space you cleared. It takes far less time to clean a space that is free from extra stuff. And finally, number 10, decluttering brings more pleasant relationships with the ones you love who share your space. It is far easier to cuddle up with your little ones and read a book if the books are neatly organized and there's a clean spot to sit and snuggle. What if you could eliminate the clutter for good? I designed my year-long Thorough Declutter series to help you slowly and permanently declutter your entire home. You will receive a daily declutter task 5 days a week for the specific room we are working on. We will move step by step through the process to declutter every room and every space in your home. Currently, we are working on the first bathroom. Your daily task for today, May 12th, 2022, is to declutter your toothpaste. Here are a few tips. Number 1, you'll declutter any unwanted items. 2, get rid of any toothpaste you haven't used in a year. And number 3, declutter any that are empty. Let's look at a few tips to keep you on task as you begin your declutter. Number 1, I want you to only spend time on your specific daily task. Number 2, work to not get sidetracked or distracted. Number 3, work within a time of day that you have the most energy and stamina. Listen to your body and work at decluttering when you feel the most alert and energized. Number 4, avoid overthinking. Avoid thinking too long about whether to keep or discard an item. This is one specific way you can be ruthless when you're decluttering. And number 5, Let's avoid cleaning during the declutter. Getting rid of clutter is your priority. Cleaning can be accomplished later. Now let's look at a few supplies you'll need as you begin your declutter. Number one, we'll need boxes, preferably ones you can donate. Avoid using plastic storage bins because you may be tempted to just store the items and never part with them. Number two, you'll need some sturdy trash bags. And three, you'll need a marker or a pen to label your boxes. Now let's look at 5 simple steps to declutter any room. Number one, you'll start by eliminating trash first. 2, you'll want to sort your items by category if you need to, so you can see what you have. Number 3, you'll get rid of duplicate items, broken items, outgrown clothing or shoes, anything you'll never use again. Number 4, we box up our donations and we trash and recycle the rest. And finally, number 5, select a charity to donate your items. You can even schedule a pickup if they allow you. Leave a comment below and let me know what you are decluttering today. You can also head over to my blog, dmiddleton.com, to subscribe and get your free homemaking ebook. You can find my declutter printables and deep cleaning printables over at dmiddleton.com.